Hello and welcome to today's Battle Mech review. Today we're going to be looking at an odd one with the Highlander IIC. Some people would even say that it's just the Highlander C. It uses the same chassis more or less as the original Highlander, same weight class, same performance overall. There's a few minor changes between the two, mainly on where the weapons are equipped and how they're set up. But end of the line here, it remains pretty much the same kind of mech as the original Highlander, with even the same kind of purpose. It remains a great machine. We've got a number of them here, or at least Highlanders upgraded to clan equipment, meaning that they're basically Highlander IICs. There's a few of those that have been floating around, and there's a weird history behind the Highlander and the clans. So let's get into it. I would like to say that the best-known Highlander IIC pilot out there would be Clan Widowmaker's Khan Carl Jorgensen, even though we have to say that he wasn't piloting a Highlander IIC, but a modified 732 Highlander with clan technology built in. In an unfortunate turn of event, Khan Jorgensen was locked into a trial of grievance with Ken Winson of Clan Wolf. It was a bit of a kerfuffle. There were a few things in regards to, trying to exterminate each other, trying to eliminate the Wolverines in very bad ways, and the Mongoose being weird in the back, and the Buroks trying to finance all sorts of things. It was a bit of a mess. He lost consciousness during the trial. He was down for the count, but he woke up just in time to see that there was a big atlas looming over him. He just squeezed the trigger, and he ended up killing the neutral judge, which was Ilkhan Nicholas Kerensky. This was the end of a man that a lot of people say is a little bit of a narcissistic sociopath. Other people say that he was a visionary, and other people say that he was just crazy. It is really hard to say. The historical records on Nicholas Kerensky are all over the place. But I mean, this was also the end of Khan Jorgensen and Clan Widowmaker. The killing of Nicholas Kerensky probably allowed the clans to unfurl their wings a little and free them a little bit from the strict doctrine that Kerensky was trying to impose on everyone. This whole era basically came in and out due to the fact that the Wolverines didn't quite enjoy what was going on. The Wolves kind of supported what was going on, but you can't really go against your own leader. And everybody was doing their own thing, trying to figure out how to get out from the extremely strict rules that Kerensky had put together. The end of the trial did lead to the Clan Widowmaker being annihilated, but most of the other clan absorbed different parts of them, and the Wolves absorbed most of their genetic legacy. Would you say that it was an accident? Would you say it was intentional? Was this an accident actually planned by the Wolf in order to take out a rival clan and eliminate a particularly dangerous despot? It's not a thing that I'd be able to analyze from here. I do know history quite a bit, but I'm still just an amateur, especially in old clan technology and old clan history. With that particular incident in mind, we would expect the clans to just stop using the Highlander altogether, but the damn thing was omnipresent in all of their Tomon and was still very useful for just about everyone. As a command mech, as a good striker, it could do just about everything you wanted it to do, so they really didn't want to get rid of them. You had upgrades to the existing Royals and the regular 732s, and they were quite frequent up until 2858, where an official Highlander IIC came out. Of course, the clans will not call it the 2C, they'll just call it the Highlander or the new Highlander, because that's really a thing that our spheroids call those mechs, and not something that they would use on their end. There were, however, not that many production runs for the Highlander IIC in the homeworld, and they were stopped being built in the late 2900s. All things considered, the existing Highlanders had been upgraded to the new standard, a few new ones had been built, and Omnimex were supplanting just about every standard machines in Clan Tomon. Really, if you look at the Highlander in general here, between a standard Highlander and an Highlander IIC, outside of the weapons, which are a little bit different, and the hard points just being modified a little bit on where things are supposed to go, there's not that much of a difference between the two, and you could probably use a old Highlander chassis with a little bit of elbow grease in order to build one of the Highlander IICs, which is what happened later on. It really was during the dark days of the Jihad that Clan Wolf started building brand new Highlander IICs. Well, to say brand new is a bit of a stretch here. They had a production facility on Weingarten, and what they did was import and salvage typical Highlanders from just about everywhere in the inner sphere. And you had a bunch that were being built on Sun Hoa from that point onwards. So they were importing them from Sun Hoa. Well, not the Highlander itself, just the chassis and the base parts of it. From there, they began retrofitting them with clan technology, adjusting them to the new standard in order to keep their Toman strong and have a decent command mech for various operations. The Wolves did leave Weingarten behind when they decided to create their own Wolf Empire in the middle of a space between the Aus Steiner and Aus Merrick. Well, what was left of Aus Merrick. Clan Elsworth iterated the world and looked at what they got and realized that they could build Highlander IICs. The problem was that they were not able to get cheap chassis for Highlanders anymore because, well, most of them had been used up, and the people on Sun Hoa were happy just building their own thing and not shipping it to anybody else. Through an odd turn of event, the facilities at Weingarten kept producing upgrade kits for Highlanders, while the frames were being built on New Oslo, another facility around there, and on the Seafox-affiliated world of Alnabog in the Chain Island, which is a odd bit of space at the complete end of space compared to where I live. The Highlander IIC is basically a Highlander on steroids, just because the clan equipment is just so much better than the Inner Sphere equipment. It also has double the SRMs on an arm, as you can see here. It's quite a bit fancy. At 90 tons, it still goes 54 kilometers per hour using a standard 270 engine, basically the original GM engine or a copy of it made by the clans. And, at that kind of speed, you can already get into decent position, but you get enough jump jets to bounce 90 meters in the air, like the original Highlander. You still have the reinforced legs in order to do those big death from above. Not as useful since the clans didn't like doing that a whole lot, but it also helps with the joints and everything. You can keep jumping with it, and it'll be easier to repair, and you'll have less work to do as an engineer. The command equipment is still mounted in the head as well, so you can still command larger squads with relative ease, let's say. The chassis is a reliable standard one, basically the same one as the original Highlander, and you're covered with 14.5 tons of ferrofibrous plates because, well, the original Highlander had that already, but this time it's the really good ferrofibrous plates that you get from clans. You get 12 double heat sinks to keep the machine decently cool, and it's generally enough to do the job, depending on the variant and the formation of the design. Your original 2C doesn't stray far from the original, but it does introduce some of the fancier technologies in the mix. Your main gun remains a Gauss rifle, this time EMRG Captain, rather than the original, and it's fed by 3 tons of steel balls, giving you quite a bit of shots able to decapitate people at a very good range. This is supported by a long-range 20 rack of missiles, so that's good enough as well, but they add a Artemis 4 guidance to it with 4 tons of reload, so you're going to be able to stay in the fight quite some time. This is a little bit odd for clan mechs. Generally, you would see those things have much less weapons and at least much less ammo, just so that they can fight real quick in a trial and go back home. Closer range, you get 3 medium pulse laser, which is going to be quite accurate and quite devastating, while the arm opposite the Gauss rifle has that pair of Streak SRM-6, giving you, once again, quite a bit of firepower. This one is only fed by a ton of ammo, though, so you can run out fairly quickly, while you've got a whole lot of LRM rounds. I've seen some people move things around, keep 3 tons of LRM reloads and 2 tons of Streak SRM-6 reload. This is not a standard configuration, but it's a thing that I've seen some people do just because they keep using their Highlanders as battering rams rather than snipers. There were a few different Highlander IICs before Operation Revival, most of them using different internals than the original. There was a Mark Alpha, which is what some people call the Jumping Awesome, because it was using a trio of ERPPCs cooled by 20 double heat sinks, which is quite a lot. One replacing the Gauss rifle and the other 2 replacing the pulse laser. In order to make room for that, the chassis is swapped around with endo steel, and the plates are now standard plates instead. It basically replaces one for the other. The LRM no longer has the Artemis Guidance either, and you only keep one of the Streak SRM-6. I haven't really seen any of those in the wild, basically. I've heard that they exist, and I know that some people have been using them up north, basically. But they are not a common sight. Mark Bravo was built as a fire support platform, and this one replaces the single 20 rack of LRM with a pair of 15 rack of LRMs with 4 tons of reloads. The main gun remains that Gauss rifle with 3 tons of reload, and this weight is saved by using the endosteel chassis that we just talked about on the Alpha and taking off one of the medium pulse lasers. You need 14 double heat sinks to keep this decently cool, and you keep the twin SRM6 on the arm as well, but I've seen some people just stick more LRMs in instead and just make this a bombardment unit. It's a decent enough setup, and this one I did see in the wild, basically around here. But once again, it's not a super common variant. There's also a Mark Charlie, which uses a 270 XL instead of the standard in order to save even more weight. With that, they still removed the Artemis guidance on the LRM and one of the Streak 6 tube. What do you do with all of that? Well, you replace the Gauss rifle with a pair of Ultra Tank class autocannon with entirely not enough ammo. You still have 14 double heat sinks to keep the whole thing a little bit cool, especially with the main gun running out of ammo after one single firefight. So maybe take off some of those heat sinks, add ammo to the big gun, and hope for the best. Ultra AC-10s are pretty darn good. I do like it as a gun. So this is a bit of a strong design, just one that has a few limitations. During the invasion, of course, you saw the standard Highlander IIC being the most common one. It was used in rear guard units and various garrisons. It wasn't a frontline unit in any way, shape, or form, but just about everyone had a couple. It took quite a while for new ones to come out, but the Wolves started building new designs in 3072 using those recycled chassis. The Mark II keeps the Gauss rifle in one of the 6-tube of Streak SRM, but replaces the LRM with a trio of 6-tube advanced tactical missiles with 4 tons of reloads. That's quite a lot of them, and it's going to be able to do a decent job, but 4 tons of reload might run dry a little bit quick. Maybe they should have replaced the other 6-tube of SRM and moved things around again. Who knows here? To save on weight, again, they also took out the medium pulse laser and replaced them with the slightly smaller ER medium lasers, giving you more range in the trade-off. To complete the deal, though, since there was a whole lot of infantry jumping around and walking around and causing trouble doing the Jihad, well, they replaced one of the Streak 6 tubes with 6 AP Gauss rifles. That's a whole lot of anti-infantry weapons, and you only have 1 ton of reload, so it's going to go away really quick, but it's going to be doing a whole lot of damage. The chassis is a modern one made out of endo steel, so it's a recycled chassis with most of the bones being replaced, and you have an ECM in the head to break up enemy electronics. This is truly an anti-Blakist machine made to fight in the Jihad. The Mark III is a bit of a rebrand of the original with a few fixes and a few upgrades. This one came out in 3077, still in the same kind of era, but is more meant to be a bit of a support unit and can be used for a wider variety of things. The big change is that the Gauss rifle is replaced with an AG-20, so you get basically a giant shotgun with 4 tons of reloads, which is going to be needed since, AG slugs are larger than the 30-centimeter balls of steel that you shoot from a Gauss rifle. It's just how it ends up being. This gives you better potential damage. Not always, but it's a little bit better. But you won't get a single big punch out of it. I mean, an AG, the way it works is that it breaks up the slug that it shoots into lots of flechette that go basically at the speed of sound, and it punches through armor and through all sorts of things. It's great against air units, so that makes the Highlander a more versatile unit. The saved weight still allows you to put an ECM in the head, which is, well, kind of essential in the Jihad, and a boon for a command mech like this one. The Mark IV started coming out of Clan Elzor's facilities, and now that they iterated them, in 3142, and it's once again a rebrand of your original Highlander IIC. Your main gun remains a Gauss rifle in this case, though, and it's equipped with a Case 2 system in order to prevent explosions. I'm not a fan of Case 2 in the arms, at least not for a Gauss rifle or heavy lasers, things like that. Because once they get it, well, your arm's probably gone anyways, and you're gonna lose the major weapon in it anyways. I'm not 100% sure that's a huge, valuable investment. The 20 rack of LRM is now tied to a more advanced Artemis 5 system. The Elzors like to do that. And the 3 ton of ammo is protected once again by Case 2. In this case, it is worth it since it's in the torsos. The Case 2 is quite efficient. Your chest lasers are replaced with ER medium lasers, giving you a little bit more range to save also a little bit of range to replace the arm launchers with a pair of 6-tube ATMs. 3 tons of Lee reload will allow you to have one of each kind of ammo, which is pretty good, and that ammo is also protected by Case 2. It's pretty safe, it's pretty basic, it's pretty workable. I do like it, but I think I like the original better anyways. There's some things on this that I could see used or tweak. Remove the Artemis 5 system. Those are a bit too fancy for me. Maybe move some of the Case 2 system around. There's just a few things on there that I think could be improved on, basically. Spy Galaxy from the Rassel Lake Dominion has been cozying up with us here at Flanagan's in the recent years and actually sent a few people as liaisons to us. One of them is my current bodyguard, and she pilots one of those big Highlander IICs that I understand Spy Galaxy have been building themselves. On this one, you get 18 tubes of ATM, 2 in the arm and 1 replacing the LRM-20, fed by 6 tons of Case 2 protected reloads. It's a little bit of a loss on some of the long-range weapons, but you've got a little bit more variety. It's quite functional, and I've seen it used to great effect. The big change, though, is that the Gauss rifle is taken out and replaced with an Ultra 20 class autocannon because they like to get in close and nasty. It's quite good, and I've seen her do great things with it, recently at least. And we have our own custom version of the regular Highlander, but I think we discussed it already in the past. There are still quite a few different variations that I can think of using a Highlander chassis and clan technology, one of which is just put a bigger AG on it. I've got an idea here to put an Ultra 10 as the main gun and just improve on everything else. I mean, the options are kind of limitless here. The mech itself is great. People like it. It's easy to work on for us techs. And at least for the most part, I can imagine future Highlanders from the Inner Sphere to also evolve in that same direction. With the Elzors and the Sea Fox to getting into the Highlander IIC game, we're bound to see more and more of those in the Coord area of space, or as I sometimes call it, the Galactic North. And maybe, just maybe, we'll start seeing more of them down here, even though they are more frequent than some people would expect here. So I thank you very much for listening to me for so long. I hope you guys have a very nice rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.